Gary Oldman was born on March 21, 1958, in New Cross, London, and from the very beginning, he was never the kind of actor who simply showed up. He became Count Dracula in the 1992 masterpiece, not through costume or makeup alone, but through something far rarer, a broken heart behind immortal eyes. His whispered line, "I have crossed oceans of time to find you," didn't sound like a villain speaking. It sounded like a man who had lost everything and found it again. That was always Oldman's gift, finding the wound inside the monster. He gave us Sirius Black's quiet grief, Commissioner Gordon's unshakable decency, and Winston Churchill's terrifying loneliness in Darkest Hour, a performance that finally won him the Academy Award for Best Actor. Today, at 67, Sir Gary Oldman, knighted by King Charles III in 2025, has returned to the London stage to direct and star in Beckett's Crap's last tape, while his spy drama Slow Horses continues to earn him some of the finest reviews of his life. Some actors peak. Gary Oldman just keeps going deeper. She was born on October 29, 1971, in Winona, Minnesota, a town so small her parents named her after it, and she grew up to become the emotional heartbeat of an entire generation of cinema. As Mina Harker in the 1992 Dracula, Winona Ryder played a woman caught between two worlds, the man she promised herself to and a creature who had loved her soul across centuries. The chapel scene, where she holds the dying Dracula in her arms with tears streaming down her face, is one of the most quietly devastating moments of 1990s film. She had already given us Beetlejuice, Heathers, and Edward Scissorhands, and earned Oscar nominations for Little Women and The Age of Innocence. Yet Hollywood is cruel, and there were years when her name disappeared from marquees it once headlined. Then came Stranger Things, and a whole new world fell in love with her all over again. In 2024, she returned as Lydia in Beetlejuice, and the film became a phenomenon. Winona Ryder is 54 today, still working, still magnetic, proof that real talent doesn't expire. Born on December 31, 1937, in Margam, Wales, Anthony Hopkins carries himself like a man who has made peace with just how extraordinary he is, and that quiet, settled authority is exactly what he brought to Professor Van Helsing in the 1992 Dracula. Where others played the vampire hunter as heroic, Hopkins played him as certain, and certainty in a horror film is far more frightening than fear. He had already won the Academy Award the year before for 16 unforgettable minutes as Hannibal Lecter in The Silence of the Lambs, 16 minutes that the American Film Institute would later call the greatest villain performance in cinema history. In 2020, at the age of 83, he won his second Oscar for The Father, becoming the oldest Best Actor winner in Academy history, and he didn't even attend the ceremony. He heard his name from home. Queen Elizabeth II knighted him in 1993. Today, at 88, Sir Anthony Hopkins continues to work, to paint, to play piano, and to remind anyone paying attention that greatness, in the right hands, has no expiration date. Keanu Reeves. Born September 2, 1964, in Beirut, Lebanon. In the 1992 Dracula, he played Jonathan Harker, the ordinary man who walks into a castle and realizes, far too late, that the world contains darkness he was never prepared for. His line, "I must be careful. I am in a hellish land," was quiet, frightened, and completely believable. Critics were unkind to his performance at the time. They often were. What critics kept missing about Keanu Reeves is that the stillness they called weakness was actually the thing that made him magnetic, the calm inside every storm he stepped into. Speed, The Matrix, John Wick, 3 franchises, 3 completely different kinds of iconic. He also plays bass in a band, writes comic books, and is routinely described by every co-star he has ever had as the kindest person they have ever met on a film set. At 61, he is currently starring in John Wick, Ballerina, and leading the Apple TV Plus series Outcome. The man the critics underestimated in 1992 is still, somehow, everywhere. Sadie Frost was born on June 19, 1965, in Islington, London, into a world already soaked in art. Her father worked alongside the Beatles, her mother was an actress, and creativity wasn't something she chose so much as something she was born breathing. As Lucy Westenra in the 1992 Dracula, she did something genuinely fearless. She made you love Lucy completely before she tore her apart. The warmth, the laughter, the light, all of it carefully built so that when the darkness came, it genuinely hurt. That transformation from innocent to predator remains one of the most committed performances in the entire film. Off-screen, she co-founded the production company Natural Nylon with Jude Law and Ewan McGregor, co-launched the fashion label Frost French, and later stepped behind the camera to direct, making documentaries about Quant in 2021 and the iconic Twiggy in 2025. At 60, Sadie Frost has quietly built one of the most varied creative lives in British entertainment, actress, producer, director, designer, and someone who has never once been content to stand in one place for too long. There is no one else like Tom Waits. Born on December 7, 1949 in Pomona, California, he arrived in the world sounding like he'd already lived 3 lives in a bourbon-soaked roadside motel, and he has never once apologized for it. As Renfield in the 1992 Dracula, the deranged, insect-eating, devotedly mad servant of the Count, Waits didn't act unhinged. He simply arrived, and the unhinged followed naturally. His scream of "the blood is the life" rattled cinema walls because it came from somewhere completely genuine and completely uncategorizable. His music career is the stuff of legend, Rain Dogs, Bone Machine, Mule Variations, albums that don't fit any genre because Tom Waits never asked permission from any genre. He won Grammys. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2011 by Neil Young, who introduced him simply as a spirit guide. He has acted for Coppola, Jarmusch, and Gilliam. At 76, he is contributing to the Shane MacGowan tribute album, starring in Wild Horse 9 and performing the Black Ryder in Germany. Tom Waits does not slow down. Tom Waits does not explain himself. Tom Waits simply continues. Ask anyone who grew up in the 1980s to name the most perfect romantic hero in cinema history, and a very large number of them will say the same name without hesitation: Wesley. Carrie L. West, born October 26, 1962 in Westminster, London, gave The Princess Bride its soul, and his quiet declaration of "as you wish" has been whispered at weddings, scribbled in anniversary cards, and tattooed on wrists for nearly 4 decades. In the 1992 Dracula, he brought that same elegance to Lord Arthur Holmwood, a man of breeding and devotion watching helplessly as the woman he loves is consumed by an ancient evil, and the heartbreak he conveyed was real and unhurried and quietly devastating. He showed his darker edge in the original Saw in 2004, made an entire new generation of fans as the gloriously corrupt Mayor Klein in Stranger Things, and in 2026 is set to appear alongside Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning. Carrie L. West is 63 today, and the charm that made the world fall for Wesley has never, not even slightly, gone anywhere. Richard E. Grant arrived in British cinema in 1987 like something barely contained, tall, electric, magnificent, playing the broke and catastrophically alcoholic with nail, and with a ferocity that made every scene feel like it might combust. Born May 5, 1957, in Mbabane, Swaziland, he carried that same barely leashed energy into Dr. Jack Seward in the 1992 Dracula, a man of science losing his grip on reality one asylum visit at a time, and his line to Renfield, "I shall have to invent a new classification of lunatic for you," landed with dark, perfect comic timing that only he could have managed. He spent years being brilliant in things that not enough people saw: Gosford Park, Altman's finest ensemble work, until 2018, When Can You Ever Forgive Me? Gave the world the performance it had always deserved from him, earning nominations from the Oscars, BAFTAs, Golden Globes, and SAG Awards simultaneously. He then joined Star Wars as General Pryde and Marvel as the heartbreaking classic Loki. At 68, Richard E. Grant continues to act, write, present, and share himself with the world in a way that makes everyone who follows him feel, strangely and warmly, like a personal friend. Billy Campbell, born July 7, 1959, in Charlottesville, Virginia, has always had the quality that is hardest to fake on screen: genuine goodness. As Quincy P. Morris in the 1992 Dracula, he played the brave Texan who dies in the final battle not for glory, but simply because it was the right thing to do, and that selfless, uncomplicated courage felt completely real because Billy Campbell makes you believe it. The year before, he had carried the Rocketeer with the same straightforward heroism, a stunt pilot who straps on a jetpack and does what needs doing, no speech is required. His television work has been just as strong and just as quietly undervalued. A Golden Globe nomination for Once and Again, and 3 consecutive Canadian Screen Awards for Best Actor for the crime drama Cardinal, a performance many who saw it consider among the finest in television that decade. Today in 2026, he appears in the I Know What You Did Last Summer reboot, the series Trust, and lends his voice to Star Trek Prodigy. Billy Campbell may not always get the headlines, but everything he touches is better for his presence in it. Monica Bellucci was born on September 30th, 1964, in Cid di Castello, a small hilltop town in Umbria, Italy, and she has spent her entire life making small things feel enormous and enormous things feel effortless. Her American debut came as one of Dracula's brides in the 1992 film, and even in a role without a single line of dialogue, she was impossible to look away from, something ancient and dangerous and completely, disturbingly beautiful behind those eyes. She went on to break hearts across Europe in Melina, bend reality as Persephone in The Matrix Reloaded, and in 2015 she walked into a Bond film at age 51 and made every previous Bond girl look like they had been in a hurry. In 2024 she appeared in Beetlejuice and reminded everyone all over again why the word iconic exists. At 61 in 2026, Monica Bellucci continues working across European art house cinema and international productions, unhurried and unapologetic, a woman who has never needed anyone's permission to be exactly, magnificently who she is.